Meeting the victims of terrible human rights abuses doesn't have to be depressing, especially if you turn up with two journalists who've probably done more than anyone else to expose their plight.
Hello, how are you? You good?
Among the students at this school for migrant children are 25 Rohingya, a Muslim ethnic group persecuted in Burma. It's Alan Morison and Chutima Sidasathian's compassion for the Rohingya that could end up landing them in jail.
I think we were just keen to see the Rohingya treated properly. They have nothing, they're stateless, they're hated by their neighbours. I mean, you have to feel something.
Bubu come to visit you.
To the kids here, Chutima is Bubu, or sister.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 5,
4. Again.
In just 4 days' time, Alan and Chutima will face court, charged with defaming the Royal Thai Navy in a story about the trafficking of the Rohingya.
A, B.
I put myself, my heart to get involved on this issue because of first the issue this happened in Thailand. It's my country, and I would like to helping my country as well.
Bye bye.
I'll spend day and night with Alan and Chutima as they struggle to come to grips with the trial and the possibility of 7 years behind bars.
There are very few jails in the world that are as bad as Thai jails. It would mean death for me at my age.
It all started out very differently when this veteran Australian reporter and editor moved to Phuket in 2002.
I guess I was winding down.
You were heading towards retirement.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it didn't happen. At 67, Alan hasn't slowed down a bit.
Jeb, mate?
Jeb.
In 2008, he started an online news site called Phuket One, or Sweet Phuket Every Day, reporting on tourism.
The elderly European tourists all want the sun lounges back. So does Phuket want to sacrifice its elderly European tourists or not?
Soon after Phuket One began, Alan hired Chutima. And what do you think drew him and Chutima together, like as colleagues and as partners?
I think probably a love of the news, you know, and being at the forefront of a story.
Just a few months later, Alan stumbled upon the biggest scoop of his career. The first clue came after an interview with a Navy Vice Admiral.
He said, "What do you know about Rohingya?" And I said, "Oh, Rohingya?" Our interest was sparked, really, in a serious way, by the Royal Thai Navy.
Right now, the Navy wants them convicted for their Rohingya stories. Back then, it was so worried about Rohingya turning up in boats, it even sent them photos.
And the photos were astonishing. The photos showed rows of near-naked men spread out on beaches with people standing over them with guns. We were incredulous.
It pushed me, hey, this is a very good story, we have to do something, we have to helping them.
When Alan and Chutima went looking for more evidence, they uncovered the Thai Army's secret policy.
Phuket One has confirmed that the boat people are being released in international waters with paddles as their only power.
So this is the notorious pushback policy.
That's right.
Their appalling discovery became the biggest story in the region.
Incredibly, this shows the Thai army towing a boatload of some 190 refugees far out to sea.
The pushback policy was stopped thanks to Phuket One, but the persecution in Burma got worse, as did the trafficking.
We realised it was becoming more serious when some of our contacts started telling us that, hey, this is becoming a big business. There are drug dealers we know who have given up dealing in drugs to deal in people.
A grisly find in Thailand. Deep in the jungle, authorities say they've uncovered a mass grave at a suspected camp for human trafficking.
Thailand pretended it didn't have a serious trafficking problem until April of this year, when the deadly trade grabbed the world's attention. While these images of secret trafficking camps and mass graves of Rohingya were shocking, they weren't news to Alan and Chutima.
Over the years, a lot of the articles that we've written about this topic have just been ignored. Fortunately, this time, the number of graves was too big to ignore.
A belated government crackdown implicated the army and led to more than 100 arrests. This checkpoint was set up last year by local communities fed up with trafficking. It stops all vehicles travelling towards the Malaysian border. But traffickers, or brokers as they're also known, haven't given up on their lucrative trade, and I'm about to find out how determined they are.
See, he knows this guy is the broker.
That's the broker. Show me, what? Got the picture, eh?
Yeah.
Chutima's just been sent this photo of a Rohingya translator and suspected trafficker.
If he's lucky and he gets 3 women to go over the fence tonight.
Earlier today, he was at a nearby shelter for Rohingya women and children with a visiting NGO.
Not easy to get the translator, a good translator who not get involved with the human trafficking.
As night falls, we head to the shelter. It's rumoured that 3 of the women are planning to escape tonight and meet the trafficker. Chutima's asked our Rohingya translator, Hamid, to give the women a stern warning. All of these women were trafficked. Many were beaten and raped. I can't believe they'd risk that happening again.
As good as their life is here, these women have husbands in Malaysia, so there's a pull factor at work.
Hamid has a separate message, a very blunt one, for the young unmarried women. As we leave, I can only hope the message has sunk in.
I'm making the Thai dessert. I try to keep my life as normal as I can. To be grumpy every day, panic every day. Too much.
But soon, there's good reason for panic. Not the looming court case, but worrying news from the shelter we visited last night.
นายเด็กหนีแล้ว2 คนนายขอกำลังหน่อยดีตอนเนี้ยไปที่ปราบปรามให้หน่อย I call the policeman first.
Despite all of Chutima's efforts, it seems some of the women have been lured away by the trafficker.
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะท่านผู้การคะจะโทรมาแจ้งว่าเด็กโรฮิงญาหลบออกจาก I get very angry about these things, you know, because I know their future if they out.
But suddenly, there's good news. A search party from the shelter has found 5 women and 2 teenage girls in a nearby rubber plantation. Unfortunately, the broker can't be caught.
I would love to see the feeling like a happy ending thing like that, but most of the time it's not quite that.
Chutima and Alan have been praying for a happy ending ever since the phone call that came in December 2013.
I get a phone call from the police and he asking me where is your office, and he said, okay, I will be there within 10 to 15 minutes.
Soon they were being fingerprinted. charged with criminal defamation and breaching the Computer Crimes Act. The Royal Thai Navy had complained about this article published 5 months earlier, specifically a single paragraph taken directly from a Reuters report.
A Reuters investigation reveals how some Thai naval security forces work systematically with smugglers to profit from the surge in fleeing Rohingya.
A 41-word paragraph taken directly from an investigation that saw 2 Reuters journalists win the Pulitzer Prize. No charges have been filed against Reuters, but Alan and Chutima face a possible 7 years in jail.
What?
Oh, thanks. Wow, looks pretty good, eh?
Chutima actually helped Reuters research the story.
That's beautiful.
There's been no help forthcoming from Reuters, not even a statement supporting Alan and Chutima.
So to me, like, they just protect their brand, but they didn't protect the people who are working for them. It's very shameful to me. I feel very disappointed.
Reuters responded to Dateline's questions about this.
Reuters strongly objects to the use of criminal laws anywhere in the world to attempt to punish journalists for the important and valuable work that they do.
And Hawthorne plays a little bit later today without Dad watching.
Alan's on the phone to his sister in Mount Gambier.
It's the big game of the round.
It's been a tough couple of weeks. Along with the charges against them, Alan and Chutima have also had to deal with family tragedy.
And I look down at the list of numbers I've got here, and of course it's got Dad and then the number, so yeah, I have to constantly reminded I can't actually call Dad. We had a couple of weeks ago when both our fathers died in the space of a couple of days, and I guess at that point we realised just how much of a toll it had taken. I should have spent more time at home with my father in Australia, but I couldn't.
Because of this case?
Because of the case. So we can forgive and forget a lot, but we can't forget or forgive that week.
Alan and Chutima's lawyers have flown in from Bangkok to help them prepare. As a non-Thai speaker, Alan needs to have everything translated. He has to deal with a foreign language as well as a foreign legal system.
Do we get asked to plead on day one? Do we plead to the charge?
Day one, as soon as the case starts, they'll ask you to stand up and then ask you to plead.
His lawyers jokingly tell him he can always choose to plead guilty.
You know you can change.
Okay? Yes. Oh, great. I'm so pleased to hear that.
Chutima and Alan rehearse for the questions they'll be asked in court. The entire case could hinge on what sounds like a confusing semantic detail.
Like they want you to admit that there was no Navy involved in the smuggle of both people. That's why they're going to ask this question to you.
Sure, but the paragraph talks about Thai naval forces, not the Royal Thai Navy, so...
Yes.
They've been charged with defaming the Royal Thai Navy, but the Reuters paragraph refers instead to Thai naval forces profiting from the Rohingya. And there are other naval forces in Thailand.
It doesn't mean the Royal Thai Navy at all.
The Navy's translation of the paragraph could cost them years in prison.
It doesn't mean the Royal Thai Navy, is that correct?
Yes. It doesn't mean the Royal Thai Navy.
Okay.
There seems to be quite a jovial atmosphere.
There often is at hangings.
It's been a long day. Chutima's fatigue and Alan's frustration are showing. Still, there's something to look forward to later tonight. The last time Joshua Morison was in Phuket, it was his honeymoon. Having his dad on trial will be very different. Alan and Chutima were actually allowed to visit Australia earlier in the year, but the time, Josh wondered whether they should ever return.
Could have stayed around in Australia, laid low. I'm sure we could have organised for Chutima to do that too, you know, but he was true to his word, promised the Thai authorities that he would come back and did so on the day he said he would.
Alan's only had a few hours sleep. Chutima's worried about how he's going to perform in court.
I think he looked terrible. I hope today he's gonna improve from yesterday, but it's still not unpromising.
Despite weeks of preparation, Alan's still unsure of his lawyer's strategy.
Our legal team's very passionate and enthusiastic. It's just a matter of comprehending what they're trying to achieve and why.
Does it concern you at all about how it's going to go in the court?
Well, I hope not. Yeah, I guess it does a little bit.
Because Alan's accused of defaming a proud Thai institution, the lawyers want him to stress he's pro-Thailand.
Everything Phuket One has done, we've done for Thailand.
So you have to say that I do this because I love Thailand, no?
Not quite.
With less than a day to go before they're due in court, Alan and his lawyers disagree. They want him to claim he didn't personally put the offending article online. He just sent it to a webmaster in the United States. But Alan thinks that's misleading.
Well, if I swear that I'm telling the truth, then that's what I intend to do. I mean, I can't make up stories about webmasters.
Chutima isn't thrilled with Alan's stubbornness, and neither is lead lawyer Siriwan Vonkietpaisan.
นะคะแล้วก็สิ่งที่เป็นความในใจก็อยากจะพูดออกมาด้วยนะคะอันนี้ก็เป็นประเด็นที่ก็ยากอยู่หลายวันนะคะก็จำเป็นต้องทำงานร่วมกันนะคะ
It's difficult not to admire Alan's uncompromising stand. At one point, he and Chutima were told through a diplomatic back channel the charges could be dropped if they just apologised. Their answer was swift.
No, we don't see any need to apologise. All we've done is our job. Goodness.
Isn't escaping years in jail need enough, potentially?
No, we're happy to put ourselves at risk in a small way if we can change the world for the better. We'll find out in the next few days. I just had to knock back an SBS News interview.
Okay, now you need to get back a little bit.
Do you want to see my trousers or not?
Would you describe him as a stubborn man?
Certainly, I think he's strong-willed to the point where he does push stubborn a little bit, I think.
The danger is that in the present mood in Thailand, the media could be put back in shackles, but there's still a chance for Thailand to win in the end.
Along with the media, loyal Phuket One readers have also come to show their support.
Such unbiased, amazing coverage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Today they'll hear from prosecution witnesses, police officers who handled the investigation, and Navy Captain Panlop Comptonlock, who filed the original complaint.
เป็นการกระทำผิดเข้าข่ายตามกฎหมายจริงเพราะฉะนั้นเป็นสิ่งที่กองทัพเรือจำเป็นจะต้องปกป้องในเรื่องของเกียรติภูมิขององค์กรครับ
There's no filming or photography allowed in the courthouse, so I wait outside for Alan and Chutima.
It's good. So far, so good.
Yeah. And Alan's completely on board with his lawyers now.
We thought the war team were very effective today, and we hope it's as good tomorrow and the day after.
It will be another late night, one last rehearsal with the lawyers before they testify tomorrow.
How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling tired. I feel sleepy.
We're a very small organisation, but this is a very big principle.
Hours later, as I wait for Alan and Chutima to emerge, I find out something extraordinary happened today. Barrister Mark Plunkett's observing the trial for the International Federation of Journalists.
Interesting developments. The public prosecutor declines to attend, which means the evidence of the defendants is unchallenged.
The prosecutor wasn't there. Have you been to many trials where the prosecutor doesn't turn up?
It's the first I've ever heard of in my 34 years as a barrister.
Hey.
No, I was relieved to know that we weren't going to be cross-examined, but there's still some more time, so we have to wait and see.
An early finish means a group lunch. The lawyers tell me the prosecutor's no-show means one of two things. Either a conviction is a foregone conclusion, or the prosecutor thinks she has no chance of winning. Chutima is actually disappointed.
I would love to answer any question that the prosecutor will ask.
You were looking forward to it, being cross-examined?
Yes.
Bring it on.
Yeah. I'm sure myself, I've done nothing wrong, you know.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Tomorrow, the final day, will be all about the defence witnesses, including Abdul Kalam, a Rohingya activist who advises Thai police on trafficking. The lawyers rehearse his testimony. Crucially, he'll back up the claim at the heart of the Reuters paragraph. Rohingya refugees told him they were bought by traffickers from naval forces. After all the intense build-up, the end of the trial inevitably feels like an anticlimax.
Did the judge say anything about what's happening next?
September 1 is the verdict. Yeah.
September 1?
September 1.
Is when you find out.
That's right, then we'll know.
One more time.
Very good.
In times of need, Chutima likes to visit the shrine on Phuket's Monkey Hill.
Try to offering the ghost and bring luck to me, that's it.
Inside, there are icons representing different faiths, but Alan knows where his prayers are going.
To me, among all these images, is probably one of the goddess of journalism as well. If there's not a goddess of journalism, then we're in big bother.
Alan and Chutima believe they've always acted with Thailand's best interests at heart. And they do have faith that this will be recognised.
Yeah, look at that guy. We're confident that the Thai legal system will serve us well and that we'll be found innocent.
If they're not, the world's most persecuted minority could lose its champion.
The future of the Rohingya depends on freedom of speech. All we need is for hatred and racism to be obliterated. And I guess that's why journalism exists.